He's just a regular guy with a cool job that God loves for some reason. Welcome to the Steve Marston Show, a daily journey in learning how to live more like Jesus, conversations with those that God is working through, and dad jokes. It's the most unique show you'll hear today. Now, here's Steve.
Yes, sir. Welcome in. It's the Steve Marston Show, your daily dose of encouragement. Thank you for being here. And when I say being here, I mean it. We've got multiple ways for you to be a part of the program. You can listen. The backbone of our little gathering here together is AM 630, The Word in San Antonio. Ditto for Faith Talk 99.5 in Little Rock. And then from there, we're all over the place, magically sending the pictures across the internet devices. And you can watch us literally on dozens and dozens of pages on dozens of platforms. So we are everywhere. If you'd like to join us, you can call 888-901-5454. That's 888-901-5454, and we'll get you in on the program. You can also shoot me an email, steve@salemmedia.com. We're going to do another 15-minute challenge with our folks in San Antonio coming up in a little bit with the nice people at PreBorn. We'll be talking more about that coming up. And then those of you in Central Arkansas, a special conversation with our buddy Josh Adair from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. That's all still to come, plus our dad joke of the day and the best video on the internet today, all as a part of the Steve Marston Show. So let's get started with a topic that kind of popped back up again. I've discussed this at length earlier in our previous episodes, which I guess you could go back and check out the archives in the podcast to find them. But this whole topic of deconstruction, it's something that is maybe not as trendy as it was maybe just a couple of years ago, but it seemed like there for a minute, every celebrity you could think of that had once called themselves a Christian had kind of started to recount their faith and had moved completely and totally from being a born-again, solid Christian to questioning whether God even exists, and some just outright saying that they renounce all things Christianity. And a couple of the notable examples were Rhett and Link, the guys that were there on the scene of YouTube when it first got underway. I think they call it the Magical Mystery Breakfast or something is the name of their channel. If you're a Rhett and Link fan, you know what I'm talking about. But they started out as people who work for Campus Crusade for Christ, or at least that's what it used to be called. It's now called Crew, and they were guys who were just completely immersed in that world and then got the YouTube series and became incredibly wealthy, incredibly popular as internet sensations and started questioning their faith. And now both of them are to the point where they have been down that road. Yes, I was saved, but now I don't believe that there is a God. I don't believe that there's a person called Jesus, on and on. Another one of the famous examples is a pastor named Josh Harris. Josh was somebody who wrote a book in the 90s called I Kiss Dating Goodbye. And it was about purity culture, which I don't dig the name. I never have liked the name purity culture, just because we're not pure as people. And to say that because we have given our sexual part of ourselves over to God and said, hey, look, we're not going to do this until we're married, that doesn't make us any more pure than anybody else. So I never have liked that title, but be that as it may, that's what it was called. And then he, because of the backlash that happened with that book, has renounced his faith as well. And you just hear this over and over about deconstruction and how people have gone from a quote-unquote vibrant, real relationship with God to questioning or being convinced that God doesn't even exist. And I've always thought that that can't be possible, you can't have come to faith in Christ and known Jesus the way that I've experienced him and be able to walk away. Now, I know that may sound harsh, but I just feel that in my bones. And every one of these people who would always talk about deconstruction would all say, well, yeah, I was saved. I was a church member. I was a Jesus follower. And now I'm not, because I have laid that all down, all that burden that was on me, and now I'm free. Because that's the one word they all use, is free. And I've made this point in the past, so forgive me if you've already heard it, but I've never bought that. I've never bought that someone who's quote unquote deconstructing is now free. What I think they are instead is relieved, because they're not trying to measure up to a standard anymore. They're not trying to live out this holy, set-apart life on their own anymore. Therefore, what they think is freedom is actually just relief. And I bring all this up because John Crist, who had some of his troubles of his own not long ago, a few years ago, is back to selling out concerts all over the place, and he is a born-again believer, and he kind of drifted away from the faith, as a lot of us do. But he made the point about deconstruction here recently that a lot of people his age, from age 40 to, say, in their 30s, that kind of age range, may have done that, may have gone and quote-unquote deconstructed, but that's not really what they should have done. They should have maybe just remodeled. I just thought this was a brilliant little piece of commentary. This is from our friends at churchleaders.com. They talked to John Crist on the red carpet of the K-Love Awards the other night. Listen to this.
A lot of us, I feel like, we all grew up in church. We had to go to church. And we all, once our parents' eyes kind of were immediately off of us, we all went awry, right? Yeah. And then I feel like at this age, we're all having families now, having children, and we're going, we got to pass something down to them. And I feel like all of us are coming back, okay? And I would say everyone has to go find out, explore for themselves if they want to make the faith their own. And I would say there's a lot of, I don't like the term, but deconstruction, or they throw, all right, so we're throwing all of it out. Right. So a guy in my youth group bullied me. He was supposed to be a Christian. Yep. All of it is out. Is bad, right. Yeah, and I look back, I see a lot of these, ministries that were very foundational to my childhood, like focus on the family, maybe things like Veggie Tales, or even Hillsong and everybody's let's crush them. Anything that deconstruction, everything that has been constructed needs to be deconstructed. Yeah. And I'm just not with that. And I think everybody is going to find after all of this that there was some maybe some remodeling that needed to happen. Yeah. There was probably an attic that had mold in there. We need to get in there, clear that out. But we shouldn't have dozed the house. Yes. And I think I've kind of lived. Sometimes I was camping outside, but I never gave up on the house. And now coming and now having a family, starting a family, and I'm glad I don't have to go rebuild it all. Right. I never tore it down. Right.
See, that's such a good word. I've never tore it down. Sure, we have to do inspections all the time and kind of clean out the clutter from occasionally, but tearing it all down and thinking that it wasn't even real to begin with, that shows me that you didn't have a real relationship with Christ. So that whole deconstruction thing, I just have so many problems with it. But I think John Crist is right on with that. We just need to remodel a little bit, not necessarily throw it all away. I mean, because, again, the Apostle Peter said it best. He said it saying, where else are we going to go? You have the words, talking to Jesus, of eternal life. Okay, more of the Steve Marston Show coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a flash. Okay, thank you for joining us. It is the Steve Marston Show, and we are live this afternoon. And we're taking your phone calls at 888-901-5454, or you can shoot me an email, steve@salemmedia.com. Welcome back to the program. And I feel like one of the main keys we do here probably pretty well, at least in my humble opinion, is to be an encourager, to kind of be that cheerleader on the side of the marathon race. You know, everybody's running and they're just about wore out and they're just starting to slow down, and you've got those people that have lined the streets and they're just cheering them on, telling them they can make it, maybe handing them a cup of water as they pass by. Well, I feel like that's kind of my job here, because I know so many people have jobs, they have things going on in their life that just wear them out and are hard, and they just need a little boost, that little attaboy, attagirl, that little pat on the back saying, you're doing a great job. And that's, I feel like, one of the things we do pretty well here on the show. And I wanted to play you a piece of audio and video of a guy and his son named Cliff and Stuart Knechtle. Now, you may have seen these guys there for a minute. They were all over social media timeline, at least mine, because I follow a lot of Christian people and things. So they popped up everywhere. Cliff started this ministry where he was going to college campuses and answering questions about the faith from everybody who wanted to speak. And normally people that do that are kind of rebel rousers. They're troublemakers a lot of times. I can remember, this has been 100 years ago when I was in college, but I remember there was a guy who came to our campus, and he just had every stereotype that you could imagine about one of these quote-unquote street preachers. You know, people with tattoos are going to hell, and if you listen to a certain kind of music, you're this, and if you have, you know, a different outlook on life, you are somehow not what God has planned for you, and on and on. And he was just so bad. And I think a lot of it was just trying to get attention, trying to draw a crowd, because if you can say outrageous things, then all of a sudden you've got an audience, because the audience wants to shut down the outrageousness. But Cliff Knechtle's not like that. He actually is a very thoughtful and a very well-spoken man who can answer questions about the hardest parts of our faith. And he does so with patience and with grace, and again, with an intelligence that you don't see very often. And so he's got this little YouTube program he calls Give Me an Answer is the name of it. And you've seen him, I guess, again, answering questions from students going back probably 20 or 25 years. Well, his son, Stuart, is kind of in on the deal now as well, and they kind of tag team together, traveling to all of these different college campuses to do what they do, answer questions and try to give the hope about their faith in a real, engaging, gracious, and thoughtful way. And they just released a video, I think this was yesterday, talking about the 23rd Psalm. And maybe you're like me. A lot of times the 23rd Psalm is always equated with funerals because of that part at the end. Yea, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And sure, that's got a great part in it to play. It's so comforting to be able to say that to a believer's family at the graveside. But Psalm 23 is so rich with so much. And just wanted to play this for you, let you hear a little bit of encouragement from Stuart and Cliff Knechtle. Cliff is going to start talking about Psalm 23. Let's watch.
In Psalm 23, David writes, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Do you understand that? The living God who created the universe is my shepherd. A shepherd protects the sheep. A shepherd provides for the sheep. God wants to protect you and me. God wants to provide for you and me. Wow, that's amazing to think that the God who created the universe cares about you and me that much. And therefore, because God cares for me that much, I don't have to scramble and try and find satisfaction. I don't have to scramble and try and fill all of my needs. I can't fill all of my needs. Only God is big enough to meet me at the depth of my being, to bring real satisfaction, real contentment, real peace. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. What a tremendous assurance in life. It's an assurance that comes from building your life on the truth, the living God, the living Lord Jesus Christ.
Do you know that sheep are the only animals that cannot sleep at times? The shepherd needs to come and put them in a certain area of a gate in order to help them sleep. So I love that the shepherd analogy with the sheep. Truly the shepherd is the one who puts us down to sleep at night. David elsewhere in the Psalms talks about the changing of a guard. The changing of a guard is somebody who cannot sleep because they're on the city walls just walking and fretting around. But what David learns there from God is, okay, change that thinking though. You can't sleep at night, just start praising and thanking God. I got to do that last night. I just started thanking God for every little and big thing and who he was, and I slept way better.
See, I don't know whether that was for you or not, but I just envision someone listening just kind of going through it right now. Someone who just seems like every time they turn around, life is trying to knock them back down. And it's frustrating, and you're just exhausted and tired from the fight. Just know what Cliff and Stuart were talking about right there is still true. That even if you can't find sleep at night, maybe just counting your blessings, maybe just naming out everything that's good in your life will give you that peace just to put your head down and to be able to rest for once. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what the hardships you're going through. I probably couldn't even imagine. You're probably a million times stronger than I could ever be in your shoes. But I do know this, that God has never left you, and he's always there as the ultimate comfort and provider. Even when you can't see him, he's there. He's always there. Okay, welcome back. It's the Steve Marston Show, and we are thrilled to be joined by our buddy Josh Adair. He is with Central Arkansas Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he also hosts a program that you hear every Monday night here on Faith Talk 99.5 called Beyond the Huddle with Zach Rose. It's a pleasure to have him back. Hey, bud, good to see you again.
Hey, Steve, thanks so much for having me on. Excited for what, I don't even know what we're going to talk about today, but I'm excited to be here.
Well, you would think when you talk about something that's, as involved with the public school calendar as you guys are with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, that summertime would be a chance for you to kind of kick back and relax and just kind of catch your breath a little bit. But you guys have been really pretty busy lately.
Yeah, there's not really a downtime in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We're busy throughout the school, and then we kick off into summer programming, which included FCA camp for 10 days, and I was just in a coach's office yesterday during the middle of this dead period. I was like, Coach, what are you doing? He's like, well, I can finally get some work done now that there's no kids here. And he's like, I don't have money to go on vacation, so I get to vacation in my office.
Wow.
So we just got to sit down and talk ministry and talk life and family relationships and marriage and how we can better assist this upcoming year. What did we learn this past year at a school in DeWitt? And what we can do better upcoming. And, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of retooling and figuring out what's best and what we can do better and different. And just like everything else, there's not really a down season like every other job in the world.
Well, I think we ought to probably set the stage exactly what is Fellowship of Christian Athletes in case somebody's tuning in going, What exactly are you talking about?
That's fair.
Give us a thumbnail as to what you guys do and the impact that you have on campuses all over Central Arkansas.
Absolutely. So Fellowship of Christian Athletes is an international sports ministry based here in the United States. It's been around since 1954. Been blessed to work here in Central Arkansas. There's been an established ministry since 2003. So for the last 23 years, working in conjunction with public schools, 7th grade, all the way through college, whatever schools are around, to work with their athletes and their coaches on campus, to lead from a faith platform, to share Jesus, to do Bible studies on campus, to be missionaries on their field of play and in their locker rooms where they are, working in conjunction, complementing and supplementing the local church, to establish and maintain ministry on campus. My background, I was a youth pastor for 17 years, and I always wondered if what we were teaching inside the church campus was taking root on school campus. And so this is a great way for us to partner with youth pastors and pastors to, for sure, know what's happening is actually happening. They're leading Bible studies. They're being evangelistic. They're sharing their faith. They're working in discipleship to grow others in their faith. And we have the opportunity to do that there's 11 counties here in Central Arkansas. We have the opportunity to work in all 7th through 12th grade high schools, local colleges, and a couple of middle schools all the way down to 5th grade, so we can start building the farm system moving into junior high and high school.
Well, that's amazing. I want to circle something that you just said about colleges. Now, I think most of us that have been around know FCA for high schools and even for middle school and junior high, trying to, like you say, kind of set the stage and kind of plant the seeds there. Right. What kind of colleges do you guys work with, and what's the different dynamic working with them versus working at a school of, high school? Yeah.
So any college that has a sports program, local here in Central Arkansas would be Euler, University of Arkansas, Little Rock. We have a huddle with their baseball team. We have a huddle with their track program and the wrestling program. Wrestling is huge at University of Arkansas, Little Rock. And,
it is.
Yes, and some of our most meaningful. I take that back. All ministry is meaningful, but some of the best conversations with athletes have been with wrestlers because they are one-on-one in person, and they combat and they fight and they wrestle and they compete with eyeball to eyeball and great communication. And it's some of the most intimidating conversations that you can have with people because they look at you eyeball to eyeball. And most other athletes I've learned will either listen to you and stare at the ground, or they'll look past you, look through you. But wrestlers, they lock eyes, and you better be serious about what you're talking about. And they're very engaging, almost intimidating with how serious they pay attention.
They really are. Those wrestlers are just cut from a different cloth, man. They're just people that intensity, it just oozes out of all of it. It doesn't matter if they're, in the 120-pound weight range, they still just ooze that kind of confidence and just almost like you say, intimidation.
Absolutely. Yeah. So back to your question, we're on college campuses all across the state of Arkansas, all across the nation, all across the world. Working to embed with them, to lead. They have a bigger platform. There's multiple people watching them just to engage and remind them that they lead from, if they have a faith in Jesus Christ, that is their foundation, that everything operates from, that their relationship with Jesus is not just for when the TV camera's on them or whenever they're talking or tweeting or whatever, but it's as I shared in a message a couple weeks ago, it's what they ooze. It's when the pressures of the world are around them, whatever's on the inside is going to come out. So if Jesus Christ is inside of them, build that foundation. So when you're hard pressed around it, that's just naturally what comes out that the world sees.
We have a wonderful little pencil and ink drawing of a guy squeezing an orange, and it says, "What comes out of you when you're squeezed," or something along those lines. That's hanging right there on the outside of our sanctuary at our church. I think that's such an important thing to remind these kids. We're talking with Josh Adair. He is one of the lead directors of Central Arkansas FCA, and he's a part of the Beyond the Huddle podcast, which is heard here every Monday night at 6 o'clock on Faith Talk 99.5. So let's talk a little bit about the helmet wall that we've got behind you there. You've got a couple of them. I recognize, what is it? One of them is Carlisle, I recognize. And what is the other one?
DeWitt Dragons.
Oh, the blue and gold. There you go.
Yeah. So my area that I'm specifically over is Central Arkansas East, which goes from Cabot to North Little Rock, as far east as Forest City, and as far south as DeWitt. So what we want to do on the wall behind us is just to have a helmet from the schools that have football program to show where we're doing ministry, so that we're reminded of where we're going and what we're doing, and can pray for them, and they have a piece of their school here in our office as well. So
I love FCA, and I think it's such a wonderful ministry. It really played a big role in my life. I can remember when I was a kid, we had a video. I went to a Christian school, and a video was shown in one of our chapel services of Pete Maravich, who was, I mean, again, you have to be a basketball player
all time.
Yeah, and he
probably made somebody mad by saying that, but that's okay.
Well, I'm telling you, he was the first ever $1 million athlete. He signed the first ever $1 million contract back in the late middle 70s, and he was the all-time college point leader. He's just blew away everybody, scoring average
without a 3-point line.
Without a 3-point line, about 40-something points a game. Yeah. Anyway, just an amazing athlete. And he has ties to Louisiana, where I was from. Right. And he was talking at an FCA camp, and we saw this. And his testimony, even though I never saw him play, I was never old enough to really see him play, really impacted me. It was one of the things that God used to bring me to him and bring me to faith in Christ. I was just so impacted by his testimony, and that was because of FCA. He was someone who spoke at a camp, and they recorded it, and then that tape made its way to that little school in Shreveport, and it impacted my life greatly. And I just love the fact that that's the way FCA works. You know, you may have something that you're doing on a campus in, say, DeWitt, but somehow it can trickle out to not only other places that you are kind of over in the east part, but literally anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to partner with people who have a sports background and have the opportunity to share their story. And because everybody has a story, everybody has a faith story and a faith journey, and there's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of differences, and everyone's unique and everyone has meaning. And we can all find principles from everybody's story and apply it directly to our life. And sometimes it's that little nudge that we need to keep doing what God's leading us to do, or sometimes it's a swift kick in the booty. That way it gets us back into action.
Absolutely. And there's also something that I think a lot of people sometimes hear about FCA. Okay, well, that's athletes, and they look at themselves as a high schooler, or maybe it's their parents that look at them and say, they're not the most athletic kid in the whole world. I know my kids fit that description on a lot of times, and FCA seems like totally something they wouldn't be a part of, wouldn't be welcomed in, but that's not the case.
That's absolutely not the case. This is just the vehicle that we use to do ministry on campus. It gets us in it opens doors. We can walk into any public, private school campus, walk into the front office, meet with the secretary administrator, and say, hey, we're here with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We want to talk about character coaching with your coaches or whatever coach. And then we're like, absolutely, come right on in. And then once we're in, we build a relationship with the coaches, obviously, because that's our ministry platform. That's what we do. But we don't turn anybody away. We're there to build the church on campus. We just use sports as the opportunity to share the gospel. So anybody who loves sports, that's an athlete. If you, we say we influence those who influence other people. So on campus, that's the fans. A lot of times it influences how the athletes play on their field or court or play at their arena. And then it's also the athlete or the cheerleader or the band director or the band student or anybody who benefits the athletes. So it comes full circle.
It's such an awesome ministry. We're talking with Josh Adair. He's with Central Arkansas FCA, and you can hear Beyond the Huddle, the podcast that they do every Monday night here on Faith Talk 99.5. Without naming names and get real specific, do you have any kind of stories you can tell about reaching out to administrators or coaches and being able to see how FCA has kind of changed their perspective and maybe even pointed them back to Jesus?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite stories to tell is first coming into ministry, walked into a coach's office. I've been in Central Arkansas since 2011, and I knew the coaching cabinet at the time, football coaching cabinet in 2011. Maybe y'all can figure that out if you were paying attention back then. I walked into his office.
I know who it was.
Yeah, absolutely. He coached there for 30 years. And every time when I was a student pastor, whenever I was there, he would call me a big guy or a big man. What's up, big guy? What's up? I was always introduced my name. Hey, my name's Josh. Hey, my name's Josh. And every time it's, hey, big guy, going on from there. Like he knew, but it didn't register in his mind. I walked in his office one day. I said, hey, coach, can I ask you a personal question? And he's like, I said, I have all girls. I don't have a boy. I don't need anything from you. I can't do anything. But I want to know, how's your home life? What happens at home? How's your marriage? He looked at me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, Coach, I know that what happens at home gets brought to the office. It gets brought to the locker room. It gets brought into the weight room. It gets brought onto the field. And I just want to know how your marriage is. How's your family? How's your relationships with your kids? You have kids, right? And he said, oh, yeah, I have two, son and daughter. And what's it like with your grandkids? And he looked at me and he said, Josh. He went from big guy to Josh immediately. And he said, Josh, in 30 years of coaching, no one's ever been bold enough to walk into my office and ask me that question.
Well, he's a very intimidating guy, too.
He can be, but he loves to have a good time and laugh and everything else. He's like, since you're taking the time to come to my office and ask me about my family life, whatever you need and you want from us from here on out, you have green light to do.
That's amazing. That's such a great story.
It's just the attitude of people don't know how, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
100. That's such a cliche, but it's cliche because it's true.
The truth. Yeah.
You're so right about that. And until we actually kind of put ourselves out there to say, hey, I really do care more about you than just the surface. Absolutely. Boy, it really makes an impact on people. Before we wrap up here, we got just a couple of minutes left in our time together with Josh Adair. Tell us a little bit about how school campuses can get you guys as a part of what they do every day, from character classes to, again, meeting with coaches and setting up huddles and the whole thing. How can people reach out to Central Arkansas FCA?
Absolutely. So I'll give you my personal cell phone number. We can plug and play for wherever you're listening to. We can find out the best school relationship or the network of staff. There's 26 Central Arkansas FCA staff that we can plug in to work in local schools. We just have 3 criteria, and as long as you meet 2 of the 3 criteria, they are you love Jesus, you like sports, and you like teenagers, or you like Jesus, you like sports, you like teenagers. We can work with that too. And we can introduce you to Jesus along the way. But any of those 3, you have a passion for any of those 2 of those 3 or one of those 3, we'd love to, because we need more volunteers to serve on campus, to serve huddles, to adopt teams, to minister to them. There's lots of background checks and stuff that we have and that we do, but centralarkansasfca.org is the website that you can go to and find information about who to contact, and all of our pictures are on there, and you can just go to staff and click the picture, and we can go from there.
Well, it's a tremendous ministry. I, again, have such a soft spot in my heart for it because it made a difference in my life, bringing me to Christ. And I know it's done that for countless people all over the world over the decades that FCA has been around. And the fact that we have it here and have such a thriving one here in Central Arkansas is just a testament to you and all the hard work all the gang does to make sure that people are cared for, people are loved on, from administrators to coaches to all the kids as well. So, Josh, really appreciate it. Give us that website one more time before we wrap up.
Absolutely. Steve, thanks so much for having me on. Grateful to share in the ministry and appreciate all that you do in the radio and communicating and connecting with us. The website is centralarkansasfca.org. And my personal cell phone number, if anybody wants to reach out or text or call, is 501-743-8857. That's 501-743-8857. And we can connect you, ask questions, answer, and see what God's doing and how we can plug you in.
Discipleship has never been more fun. Back to the Steve Marston Show.
Okay, here we are back on the Steve Marston Show, your daily dose of encouragement every afternoon. Thank you for listening here on AM 630 The Word. We are thrilled to be partnered again with PreBorn, and we're so thankful for everyone who's gotten involved with PreBorn this month, giving so that these ultrasounds can be free for these ladies in crisis pregnancies. And we've seen you guys be so generous, but just to be honest, we got off to a very slow start. I'm just being transparent, as honest as I can, like I try to every day on this program. Very slow start at the beginning of the month, extremely slow. But we've picked up a lot of speed, but we're still far away from our goal, just being honest. So we're going to take another 15-minute challenge today. We're going to put 15 minutes on the clock, and we're going to ask you to make your best gift to PreBorn this afternoon. Now, I know you've heard us talking about it all month long. I know you've heard the long form special that's been airing, and I know you've heard us probably doing the 15-minute challenge as well. But for whatever reason, you haven't made that leap. You haven't taken that step. You've heard it, but it just hasn't moved you to give yet. Well, I implore you to do so right now, because we're helping save babies' lives. And the way we do that is making sure that PreBorn can continue to have these ultrasounds for free. The pregnant ladies who are scared out of their mind when they walk in the door are able to see their baby on the screen. And when they see the baby on the screen, they're twice as likely to choose life. Okay, so you ready for the 15-minute challenge? Let's put it on the clock here. We're going to count down, and then when we finish with the 15-minute challenge, we're done. We're not going to talk about it anymore today. All right, let's get started right now.
I'm 26 years old, and I have 2 kids. I have a 3-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. I had my cycle September 7th, and I was so happy because I recently got off of birth control. I had my cycle, and then my daughter's birthday is October 4th, and she just made 1. So to have a daughter or child that's going to be 1, and to kind of feel that you're pregnant and have another child, you have so many people looking at you like you're not going to make it. I actually found out I was pregnant October 2nd, 2 days before her birthday. And I went to a 99-cent store, got the pregnancy test. I snuck in the house with my mom because I stayed with my mom, and I went in the restroom and I took the pregnancy test. It said positive. I was happy but shocked, and I kind of stuck it back in my purse, and I went outside to tell the kid's father, and he was like, "You're not ready for another baby. This is not what we need. I can't take care of a 3rd child. You can't afford this." It's like my feelings was forced to go another way. Everything was kind of taken away from me at that moment, because I was like, well, maybe I'm not going to be able to afford this baby. I felt that I'm not going to be able to be a mom to this baby. And so some told me, just go to the free pregnancy clinic. So I came to the pregnancy clinic, and I did the results. And there was this nice lady that just talked to me. And she was like, well, you are pregnant, and your due date is June 15th. I went to go do my ultrasound, and it was this nice lady, the ultrasound lady. I was sitting there, and I seen the ultrasound, and I just seen the baby. And at that moment, I wanted to keep the baby. She said, there go the heartbeat. There was another life that was inside of me that's growing. And I said, I can't make this life suffer. And I knew just from that point on, me having that baby, I'd be able to get far. The baby would be able to get far no matter what. And that changed my life just from that ultrasound picture. And I have it pictured now with the baby. It's only 8 weeks and 3 days. And I'm just so excited for that. Deep inside, I think I needed to come to this place, because I tell you, once I met that lady, she pulled in something that was deeper inside of me, my true feelings. He ripped them away from me. And when I talked to her, she no, this is what you need to do. This is who you are. You don't need to change. So me coming back to the center, it brought family, it brought love, something I did not have.
You know, with this pregnancy, it's only 2 people that know that I'm pregnant. I can't tell anyone because I'll be judged. And people are going to say, what are you going to do? I'm 26. And people are going to say, how are you going to make it? What you going to do? I'm not going to watch that baby. I'm not going to take care of this baby. How you going to make it? The only person I really talk to is the lady at the center. She's the only one that's there for me through my pregnancy.
Isn't that just amazing? These ladies are, yes, cared for when they walk in the door of PreBorn, but that's not where it stops. In fact, these ladies are loved on and cared for up to 3 years. I mean, anything they need, from housing assistance to just life skills to just a place to turn, to someone to talk to. PreBorn is there. And what we're doing today with this 15-minute challenge here on the Steve Marston Show is to help PreBorn continue to do what they do. They're already got a well-run machine going. The problem is they need a little bit more juice. They need a little more fuel, and that's where we come in. So what does that mean? What does that really look like? Okay, $28 gives a mother a chance to see an ultrasound. That's one. Now, you can give a gift of that, or you can give a gift of $28 a month so that you can help save at least one baby for less than $1 a day every single month. That's pretty amazing. If you'd like to do 5, that's $140. And honestly, just to be, again, transparent as I can, that's what most people are giving, somewhere in the $140 range. That's a huge help if you could do that. So whether you could save one baby or 5 or hundreds, the opportunity is just a phone call away or a click or 2 of your mouse away. Here's the number, 833-850-BABY, 833-850-2229. Talk to the operator, ask any question that you'd like. They're ready to do that. Or you can go online to the PreBorn banner. Just look for it when you go to am630theword.com. Make your best gift there. And here's the thing, 100% of the money you give goes to these ultrasounds. 100%. No overhead fees, no administration fees. They take care of that with other fundraisers. This is all about the ultrasounds and helping save babies. So let's get to another story here. This one's another powerful one from PreBorn, a real-life mom coming in desperate, and listen to what happened.
When I first thought I was pregnant, it was like the scariest thing that I've ever had to deal with. I just kept telling myself, I can't have a baby right now. Like, I make like $10 an hour. Like, that barely supports me, let alone a little baby. And then I was like, how stupid could I have been right now to allow this to happen to myself? So, like, that was my first thought, to have an abortion. It's just like, and I was like going crazy trying to figure out where could I go to have the abortion. And this lady was walking down the street, and me and my friend knew her, and we stopped to offer her a ride. And so she got in, and like me and my friend, we were still talking about what was going on. And so she took us right to the downtown pregnancy center. I went in, and they asked them if I wanted to keep my baby, and I was like, no, like, it's not what I want to do. And so Ms. Jackie was like, well, would you like an ultrasound? And I was like, sure, whatever. She was giving me the ultrasound, and she turned on the sound, and my baby had a heartbeat. And like in that moment, it kind of freaked me out, because I was just like, I have a baby inside of me. And so it was just like, this is a growing person. Like I was freaking out, like just sitting there crying. And Ms. Jackie was like, she just grabbed my hand and was just like, you're gonna be okay. Like, whatever decision you do make, you're gonna be okay. But I want you to pray about it. And she asked me if I believed in God and if I had a church home and spiritual guidance and everything. And she encouraged me to make a decision with my heart and not with my head. In the moment, I was just like, yeah, I don't want an abortion. Looking back from then to now, it's really changed me as a person. Like, overall, like, I'm not the same person anymore, and I have changed for the better for my baby. In the mind frame that I'm in now, I don't know how I could have ever thought that I didn't want my baby, or thought that how could I take care of my baby, because I'll do anything to make sure my baby's okay. My very first ultrasound picture was this little dot. and yeah, this is the very first ultrasound that I got with the Pregnancy Help Center. And I'm very grateful for it, because just this one picture alone helped me make the decision that I made to keep my baby. And even this picture also, it just makes me feel like I'm gonna have an awesome little person. And she's gonna be very beautiful. Maya Diamond.
These stories you're hearing, they're all real. These are real ladies who have experienced what PreBorn can offer. And they just get to you. Look, we are down to about 6.5 minutes left in our 15-minute challenge here for PreBorn. We do this here on the Steve Marston Show to raise not only awareness, but to, yes, raise funds. Again, we're going to be transparent here. We are behind on our goal because we got off to a super slow start, but we can finish up super strong. This is such a wonderful ministry, and they've been doing it for more than 20 years. They just need us to help keep providing these free ultrasounds. $28 does that, a one-time gift, or you can make it a monthly gift. Totally up to you. $140, make sure 5 ultrasounds are available to 5 different ladies. So what can you do? How many babies can you help save? But whatever the number you can give, that's not important. There's no small gift. There's no small amount. We're trying to help save babies. You can't put a price tag on that. Here's the number, 833-850-BABY, 833-850-2229, or look for that banner that says PreBorn at the top of the page at am630theword.com. We're closing in on about 3 minutes left in the challenge, so please go to the phone, go online right now as you listen to this story.
I was a full-time college student taking about 18 hours. I also had a full scholarship playing golf for TSU. The moment I found out I was pregnant, I bought like 5 pregnancy tests and I took all 5 of them. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was scared to tell my parents. I definitely thought about abortion. I thought about adoption. Well, when I walked into the pregnancy center, we sat down first, had a conversation about everything, and then I took the pregnancy test. Then we just waited, and then that's when she came in the room and was like, "You're pregnant." I was afraid, I was scared, I didn't know what to do. She was just telling me like all the options. She gave me the pamphlets, but she also said like a baby is, it'll change your life. And she was just like, it's a blessing. I had a few other people telling me like, you have your whole life ahead of you. You play golf, you're a student athlete. Everybody was just telling me like, this could ruin your life. It did stay in my heart. I was just like confused of what I should do. And since her dad wasn't around, I was just like, well, what do I do? He wanted me to get an abortion. Everybody wanted me to have an abortion. When I got the ultrasound, when I came back, I think 2 weeks later to the pregnancy center, and then the lady, my ultrasound tech, she was just like, it's okay, like just look, because I didn't want to look at the screen. And I did hear the heartbeat, and I was like, I didn't want to hear it because I didn't know if I wanted to keep the baby or not. So I did not want to get like a sense of attachment, but she did let me hear the heartbeat, and I was like, wow, it's something like living inside of me. But yeah, it was a beautiful thing to hear. But I was also still scared. My parents didn't know I was pregnant after I left here. I snuck to the pregnancy center to come to the appointments. What made me continue the pregnancy was I just felt as if that's what was supposed to happen, even though people still were like, you don't need to have it. So coming to the pregnancy center, it just gave me somebody to lean on, and it just gave me some hope of like, okay, I can do this. I do go to church a lot, but it just made me listen more. And then just one day, it was a sermon about babies and how people have abortions. And I was just like, wow, maybe this is a sign that I should keep the baby. I was excited. I was scared too, but I was excited. Her name's Journey. She is the little bundle that was in the little peanut in my stomach. I'm glad I made the decision to keep her, even though it's life-changing, but it definitely changed my life for the best. I still play golf. Yeah, I'm still doing everything. I'm still on the right track of graduating on time and everything.
It's the Steve Marston Show here on AM 630, The Word. We are so thankful that you are listening as we are wrapping up this 15-minute challenge for PreBorn. We're down to just about 2 minutes left, a little over that, and we need you to continue to give. We've had several already give this afternoon. Thank you for that, but we still need help. We're still short of our goal. Can you help? Will you help? Your gift makes sure that PreBorn's work continues to go on. And it starts with that $28 ultrasound. Can you do one of those ultrasounds? Maybe you can do one a month. Maybe you can do 5. That's $140, a one-time gift. 833-850-BABY. 833-850-2229 is the number to call. If you can't slide away right now and make a call, you can go online. It's super simple there. We've made it as easy as we can. Just look for the PreBorn banner. It's a little red ribbon banner at the top of the page, am630theword.com. Now, even though we're wrapping up our 15-minute challenge here and we're not going to talk about it anymore on the Steve Marston Show today, the number will be available for the next 24 hours. The website still available for you as well. So if you can't do it this second, although we urge you to, if you have to wait, please take down the number and call as soon as possible. Again, 833-850-BABY or online at am630theword.com. Okay, we're step aside. More of the Steve Marston Show coming up. Don't move. Okay, we're back here on the Steve Marston Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get to our dad joke of the day.
Here at the Steve Marston Show, we are serious about faith, but we love a good dad joke, too.
An elephant that doesn't matter. What? An irrelevant.
What type of elephants don't matter? Irrelevant. That's good stuff. Welcome back. Thank you for being a part today. And again, you can join the program. 888-901-5454 is the number to call. Or you can shoot me an email, steve@salemmedia.com. Let's see what else is happening in the world, shall we? A couple of headlines that really caught my attention. One of these is one of our great ministry partners that has been really since day one, both in Little Rock and in San Antonio, and that's Grace to You. And you know that Dr. John MacArthur went to be with the Lord, it's been over a year ago now. And the ministry obviously has continued on. And one of the kind of backbone people of that ministry that has been there helping out for the last 43 years and who have recently become the voice of Grace to You is a guy named Phil Johnson. Well, he announced today that he is retiring, and he's 73 years old, and he says it's going into effect, actually has gone into effect now by the time we've got this press release. It says he has multiple myeloma, and it's not curable and has diminished his energy level. He's busy with preaching engagements that sometimes involve travel, and it's pivotal at the time in the history of GTY that it needs to be in the hands of leadership that could steer the ministry into the next generations of technology and strategy. He said, I'm profoundly grateful for the amazing privilege that I've had to work alongside Dr. John MacArthur for more than 4 decades. He said, I love Grace to You with all my heart, and nothing will ever change that. Well, that's great. I know that his health has been an issue for a while now, as he said in the statement, but the fact that he's still able to get out and make engagements and do some other things that he and his family can enjoy time together, just amazing, because we all aren't promised tomorrow. And thankful for his leadership through that great ministry of Grace to You for the last 43 years. This was kind of interesting. Gary Sinise, you remember him? He probably his most famous role was in Forrest Gump, he was Lieutenant Dan. In fact, Gary Sinise even has a band that he plays in, the Lieutenant Dan Band. He's the bass player in that. But he's found that prayer has worked a lot in his life. He said that faith helped him and his family through some of his hardest times. And on one of his social media posts, he posted from the book of Romans and invited his followers to join him in the America's Heroes Challenge on the Hallow app leading up to the 4th of July. He said back a couple of years ago, and I didn't realize this, but apparently he lost his son Mac to a rare bone cancer after fighting for 5.5 years. Well, Gary said over the next few days leading up to the celebration of the 250th anniversary of America's freedom, we'll reflect on the lives of some extraordinary heroes, not just famous names, but the everyday men and women whose faith left a profound mark on this nation, people who understood that freedom isn't free and that it has to be fought for, protected, and passed on. Again, you can check out his American Heroes Challenge from the app Hallow if you are so interested. Speaking of some films and people that are doing some cool things, there's a website called Protestia. It's one of the go-to sites that I use for show prep on this program, and they have been doing a series of it's a documentary series, really, about the history of the Baptists. Now, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, church history, and I get that. But if you're nerding out over stuff like this, you may want to check it out because the second installment of this 3-part docuseries has just been released. They're going to explore the growth of the Baptist movement during the era of the Great Awakenings, through frontier expansion, through the rise of the United States. It features cinematic narration, stylized historical events, and primary source quotations. It examines how revivalism, missions, and how about, can I buy a vowel, please? Democratic ideals transformed Baptists from a small dissenting movement into one of the most influential forces in American Protestantism today. So again, you can check that out. We'll post the trailer for you on the podcast show notes, so you can check that out. And again, if you're big into church history, you might want to see that. And we also have the Ministry of the Month going on with our friends at Alan Jackson Ministries. I had someone ask me yesterday, the singer, Alan Jackson? No, it's not the singer, though this guy does live in Tennessee as well. He is the host of the program you hear on AM 630, The Word, in San Antonio every morning at 6:30, and you hear that program at 12 noon on Faith Talk 99.5 in Little Rock. We've got this resource, if you're watching on the video stream. It's called In Christ. It's a little booklet that you can take home right now, or you can, and take home the Good News Notebook. We've got both of these available for you right now if you'd like to call in and say you want them. If you're in San Antonio, if you're in Little Rock, or really any point in between, you can call right now and get these two sent to you free of charge. We just thank you and thank Alan Jackson Ministries for teaming with us for the Ministry of the Month in June. Here's the number to call. It's 888-901-5454. If you want these two resources absolutely free of charge, 888-901-5454 is the number to call. We'll send you both of these from Alan Jackson Ministries. And again, don't miss Alan and his Bible teaching every single day here on both of our wonderful, great radio stations. One more time, the number to call to get these resources is 888-901-5454. We look forward to you calling in. More of the Steve Marston Show coming up. Stay with us. Yes, we are. We're just about to wrap things up for the day, but before we get away, we want to tell you about our Faith Between Our Ears verse of the week. We take this Bible verse every week, and we learn it because I really feel like that's the one thing lacking in our relationship with Christ, going deeper, is that. And so what we need to do is to be able to know God's word and have it in between our ears. So here is this week's verse that we're working on, and maybe it's a familiar one to you. I hope that it is, because it's powerful. It's Psalm 34, verse 18, and it says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." And again, I said this yesterday, maybe it's a verse that you don't need to know necessarily right now, but believe me, there will come a time when life gets incredibly hard, and having this verse memorized is going to help you more than you can imagine. So let's memorize it, however it looks like, whether it's you writing it out long form, whether it's literally saying it out loud over and over and over. And there's none of this, oh, well, I'm just too old to memorize. I can't learn anything anymore. That is such not, well, I wanted to say something, but that's not good to say on Christian radio. It's such not the truth. How about that? You absolutely can. It's just a matter of your want to and of your desire. So Psalm 34:18, this is about being a disciple. This is about following after him, and not just knowing his word, but knowing him and drawing closer to him through this Bible study and this memorization. So again, Psalm 34:18, that is our verse of the week. We call it Faith Between Your Ears. Every day we like to close things out by showing you a video that will put a smile on your face and kind of a good feeling in your heart. And this one happens to be about dating. You know, we talked a little bit earlier about the purity culture. Well, it hasn't completely died out. There are still people who are just in the dating stages, but are taking their sexuality and what God says about it real serious. Let's watch.
For 3 years. That's a long time. I'm curious, what boundaries did you guys have set up that help you stay pure through that? We had people around us that were like on call all the time. And so we had accountability. We had some friends that were just newly married, and they were like, hey, if you guys are feeling tempted or anything, like, give us a call. And they made a commitment to call us at random times.
Yeah. When we were together, we would like tell them, hey, we're together. They would, hey, we're going on a date, and they would like randomly call us at night. So like there was stuff like that. At the end of the day, I think what I tell people is you want to build strong boundaries. Like, you want to be absolutely radical in your boundaries. Same way that you would fight temptation, that you would fight sin. You don't want to just see it as something that's like not that big of a deal. You want to see it as like, no, Satan is trying to destroy you. Like, he wants to take you out. He wants to do everything he can to mess your life up.
That is so incredibly well put. Love it. Don't necessarily agree with the purity tag, but the sentiment is for sure there. Thanks so much to Josh Adair for joining us from Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Little Rock. Thank you to everybody who gave during our 15-minute challenge for PreBorn in San Antonio. We'll get back together at 3 o'clock tomorrow for more of the Steve Marston Show. I hope you'll make your plans to be with us. Adios.